Welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. I'd like to call to order the public hearing and regular business meeting of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia for Monday, February 28th, 2022. We'll start with an invocation. Mr. D.A. Williams will provide that for us tonight.
Thank you. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Eternal Father, gracious God, we humbly come before your throne of grace one more time. And we thank you, God, for filling this place with your love. We thank you, God, for allowing us to gather together as citizens of this great city. We do pray, God, that your wisdom and divine counsel will guide us through tonight's agenda and guide us through our city's future. We thank you for covering our board. We thank you for the families. We thank you for their health. And Father, we thank you, God, for our law enforcement. Cover them and their families. And God, we thank you, God, for our military. Cover them as they defend our sovereign interests at home and abroad. Now, dear Father, we pray for the peace that can be seen, that we want to be seen in Ukraine and many other countries and many other cities in this great nation. And Father, if there's anything we failed to name in this prayer, anything we failed to call out in this prayer, forgive us, Lord, as we give you praise, glory, and honor. We pray this prayer in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. And we all said, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And now we have a special treat tonight. We have the ROTC from South Gwinnett High School is going to present the colors and do the pledge.
March sign, march. Color guard, hold. Right face. Freeze name, colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, colors. Right face. Forward, march. March sign, march. Color guard, hold. Uncarried, colors. Forward, march.
South Gwinnett has such a great ROTC program. Every time I have interactions with that group, just always amazed and so very impressed with their ROTC. So we appreciate them being here tonight. Now, under ceremonial matters, I will be administering the oath of office to Lori Ann Spears, who has been appointed at our last meeting to the Board of Appeals Post 6. Lori Ann, if you can come forward and I'll swear you in. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Lori Ann J. Spears,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Georgia,
the Constitution of the State of Georgia,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Snellville,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Snellville,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform the duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals
faithfully perform the duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals
during my continuance therein,
during my continuance therein,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Can all in favor raise your hand? That is 6 in favor and none opposed. We have some invited guests. We have Mr. D.A. Williams and Dr. Alexis Williams from South Gwinnett High School PTSA, President and Vice President, to give us an update.
Good evening to you, good evening to you, Madam Mayor, City Council, a magnificent Monday to you. I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. I represent the South Gwinnett High School PTSA and our over 2,600 families, as well as our president, Mr. D.A. Williams, who did our prayer this evening, our illustrious principal, Dorothy Jarrett. My name is Dr. Alexis Williams, and I serve as the Vice President of the South Gwinnett High School PTSA. Today, we brought with us the South Gwinnett High School Army JROTC program, and one of our honorary members of the station, Dr. Bernie, as well. And we'd like to share some of the highlights and accomplishments that this group of scholars have accomplished thus far this year. And I'd like to recognize our JROTC leader, Lieutenant Colonel Samuel Sider, who is here. Yes, and he is doing a mighty fine job training and leading our cadets to serve as leaders of our communities and our military. And we also have 3 cadets that will be speaking just for 1 minute each: Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Nick Williams, Cadet Major Amber Sellers, and Cadet Olivia Salmon. But preceding them, I'd like to allow our Colonel Samuel Sider and Dr. Bernie to just present for about 60 seconds.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Sam Sider, the proud senior Army instructor at South Gwinnett. I just wanted to thank everybody for having us out. Shout out to Mr. Stang, Ms. Linsky, proud to be. And I want to thank Mayor Bender personally for dedicating a week for South Gwinnett JROTC. So each year we have the week of Veterans Day that's dedicated to the South Gwinnett JROTC Combat Battalion, and it's the highlight of our year. It's Veterans Day week, so we get a chance to appreciate all the veterans as well. We do a lot of activities. We do our Adopt a Road on Skyland, so it's like the culmination of the Combat family. We get together, and thanks to Mayor Bender, we have our new proclamation for the week that we just celebrated in November, so I just wanted to personally thank you for that, ma'am. It's a big highlight for our battalion.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Stanley Burney. I'm a former assistant principal at South Gwinnett High School, but I'm saying I'm still from South Gwinnett High School because I'm a Comet and always will be a Comet. I'm the plaque owner for the JROTC program at South Gwinnett High School. And I just want to say thank you for all of your continuing support to our program over the years. We have some outstanding cadets, and you just witnessed this evening the performance of cadets from a honorary unit with distinction program. This is the highest certification that an ROTC program can receive. And we received it twice, the first time with a score of 95 and the last time with a score of 98. And I've been told by Mr. Will Banks before he departed that we have the #1 program in South Gwinnett, in Gwinnett County School System.
Good evening. My name is Amber Sellers. I am the Cadet Executive Officer of the South Gwinnett Battalion. They told y'all a little bit, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell y'all a little bit about the demographics. So our battalion is contained with about 260 cadets, ranging from seniors to freshmen. About 27% of those cadets are seniors who have recently received a scholarship which will cover either full tuition or $10,000 worth of housing to a college either in Georgia or out of state, depending on which one they were awarded. And South Gwinnett has received about $2 million in scholarships. We also were able to participate in the JLab competition, which stands for Junior ROTC Leadership Academic Bowl competition. We had about 8 cadets who participated in that. We had 4 for the academic and then 4 for the leadership. We qualified for nationals, so we will have all 8 of those cadets going to Washington, D.C., all expenses paid for, to continue on with the competition for that. So, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I am Cadet Captain Olivia Salmon, and I'm the S1 for the Combat Battalion. So this year, our Raider team, which is our varsity sport in JROTC, finished first in our district out of 18 schools, and our Raiders compete in numerous physical activities, such as rope bridge and tire flips, and a 5K run, relay runs, obstacle courses. They also finished second overall at the Georgia State Raider Championship. For our other highlights this year, we had our JROTC week this year. Thank you again, Madam Mayor, for our new proclamation. And during JROTC week, we had more than 200 cadets participate in our Adopt the Road program on Skyland Drive, where we help clean up and maintain the appearance of the road. We also had a special visit from Congresswoman Carolyn Bordeaux, and we participated in our annual Veterans Day appreciation, where we honored all of the veterans at South Gwinnett High School.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Nicholas Williams, and I'm the battalion commander of the South Gwinnett High School Common Battalion. And I'm here to brief you all on the battalion's upcoming plans and events. So firstly, we have a visit to our local feeder middle schools, Snellville Middle School and Grace Snell Middle School, to inform the JLC cadets about the program and to encourage them to join on March 25th. We will also hold our annual military ball on April 16th, which is a formal dance for JROTC cadets and distinguished guests. We're also having our highway intersection dedication for Specialist Etienne Murphy, who is a 2013 South Gwinnett JROTC alumnus who died in the line of duty on a combat tour in Syria in 2017. The date of that is to be announced, but we'll keep you all posted. And lastly, we're hosting the Area 11 State Qualifier Drill Meet on March 12th at our very own South Gwinnett High School. So as you can see, the Common Battalion is very active in the community. We pride ourselves in our community service and motivating young people to become better citizens. So this is just a little highlight reel of the stuff that we do. Thank you.
And for all the reasons you have just heard, we remain #proud to be.
Thank you, Mr. and Dr. Williams, and for the ROTC, Colonel Slider. Thank you so much for being here and participating tonight. Now we have no committee or department reports, so we'll move to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve tonight's agenda, February 28th, 2022.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
So a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. And now we have a public hearing. We've got quite a few items under our public hearing tonight. We'll start with item A, second reading, UDO 22-01, consideration and recommendation on proposed amendments to the text of the Unified Development Ordinance, the UDO, for the city of Snellville, Georgia, adopted October 26, 2020, and last amended October 25, 2021, affecting Chapter 100, General Provisions, and Chapter 200, Zoning and Land Use. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you to everyone that came out tonight. We have basically a housekeeping amendment, one of many, I'm sure, that will come with a new ordinance adoption as we kind of iron out the ambiguities, provide clarification, and help further the purpose of the UDO, which is to regulate the city's zoning and development regulations. We have various list of 38 amendments. Some located to principal building features, on-site parking, townhomes, building setbacks. A lot of these are just further clarification on the code and how it reads to us, along with other professionals and citizens that use it. Just mostly, I would say half is the addition of more specific definitions for uses. So everything moves around a lot these days, so I wanted to provide some clarification on what constitutes what regulation, and then a few left over for buffer strip clarifications, lighting standards, and some streetscape tables that were missing as a result of the last adopted amendment. So we would ask that you approve the amendment in front of you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So you're not going to read all 38 of these?
You want me to?
I'm just teasing. If anybody looked in the packet, I don't think you'd want to listen to that.
It's early.
Are there any questions of council for Mr. Thompson? Thank you, Mr. Thompson. This is a public hearing item, so I will be opening the floor to public hearing, to public comment. If anyone would like to come forward, you'll need to state your name and address for the record, and you can speak on any questions or any concerns that you have with this. Seeing no one rushing for the microphone, I will close the public hearing portion and ask for a motion.
Motion to approve UDO 22-01.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other comments by council? Nope. Then I will call the question. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. Next, we have second reading CP 22-01, consideration and recommendation on a proposed amendment to Table 2, future land use categories and corresponding zoning districts, page 53 of the Snellville 2040 Comprehensive Plan, adopted February 11th, 2019, and last amended October 26, 2020, to amend the appropriate and considered future land use categories for the RS5 single-family residential district. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Kind of coming on the back of the other amendment, with the UDO, we did add a new zoning district, which is an R5 district for smaller lot, high-quality residential, and we need to add that as a considered use with the appropriate land use classification of low-density residential to only be considered when the single-family residential development does not exceed 3.99 units per acre. So basically to allow it in a low-density land use class if it does by definition meet low-density residential based on that number.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Thompson by council? Nope. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. This is a public hearing item, so I will be opening the floor to public comment. If anyone would like to step forward and address any questions or concerns for this update, then please step forward. Again, seeing no rush to the microphone on this one, I will call the question. All in favor? Or I guess we need a motion, don't we? All right, jumping the gun here. So I will close public comment and will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve CP 2201 as read by the mayor.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. Now we have item C, second reading SUP 22-01, consideration and recommendation on application by RCG Snellville LLC, requesting a special use permit to develop and operate a kidney dialysis facility for DaVita Dialysis Center, and request for variances from Section 205-1 Town Center Overlay District requirements of the Snellville Unified Development Ordinance for a proposed .768 acre outparcel in the Snellville Oaks Shopping Center, zoned BG General Business District and located in the Town Center Overlay District at 2135 East Main Street, Snellville, tax parcel 5038174. The applicant has asked for an extension on this hearing, so is there a motion?
Motion to table SUP 22-01 until the March 28th meeting.
There is a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second. Oh.
I got Solange. Who did you get? Is that you? We've got a motion and a second to table SUP 22-01 until March 28th as requested by the applicant. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is 6 in favor with none opposed. Now we have item D, second reading, RZ 22-01, consideration and recommendation on application by Alliance Engineering and Planning, the applicant, and PLG Partners LLC, property owner, requesting to amend the official zoning map for the city of Snellville, Georgia, from BG General Business District to OP Office Professional District, and request for variances from the buffer requirements for a 2-story, 20,000 square foot office building development on a 3.3 acre site located at 2165 North Road, Snellville, Georgia, tax parcels 5039220 and 5039273. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is case number RZ 22-01. It's a request for rezoning from BG to OP at the property located at 2165 North Road for the 3.30 acre property that includes 2 tax parcel numbers, 5039220 and 5039273, for the development of a 2-story, 20,000 square foot office building within the North Road redevelopment area, which is located across from Eastwood Drive there and adjacent to, on the north, the white Snell house that currently houses the Snellville Historical Society. The applicant here is Alliance Engineering and Planning, representing the owner. Tyler Lasser will be the applicant's representative tonight. The applicant intends to, as you can see on the site plan, construct a 2-story, 20,000 square foot office building and associated parking, which has historically was originally, this piece of property was zoned back in 2004 for a much larger development, a more commercial development that was strictly to be open up to Scenic Highway. Back in about 2007, we had the Snellville Pavilion was actually developed, where you have, I believe, Piedmont Urgent Care, a couple of eateries and vitamin shop on the front portion, and a retail and commercial didn't seem viable at that time given there was no road frontage. So Later in the UDO, we adopted the North Road Corridor district that kind of helps transition from the residential uses across the street on Eastwood between and into transitional zoning types like office professional, smaller scale residential, maybe a little more dense, then on to your heavy commercial up on Scenic Highway, and also to provide some ingress and egress improvements to North Road, and furthermore kind of feed the demand down in the town center. So the applicant has used this project as an opportunity to do that with the building located adjacent to North Road, to front North Road, but the berm would come down, and there will also be a landscape buffer there on the front of the parking lot to remove any negative elements of the development from residents there at Eastwood Drive or anybody that doesn't want to look at the sea of parking. So this is the conceptual landscape plan. We do believe that this meets the land use vision for this corridor. It's likely the first or maybe the edge of the larger kind of office commercial establishments that I believe we'll see continue down towards the town center as a result of the investment that the city has made there. This will likely be the first larger commercial structure with them kind of dissipating as they go north, and probably a little more intense as they go south and get closer to the city core. In order for this site plan to work, I do believe that the applicant needs to ask for a couple of variances. Let me find those real quick. Okay, here we go. They need to eliminate and reduce the required 20-foot undisturbed buffer, which is required on a residential road or a road that has a certain right-of-way. That's, I believe it's less than 60, and North Road has a 50, and it varies up and down. So in order to be able to access the property, we need to reduce that to 0 for the access point, and then install the buffer as shown on the plan to protect the parking area. And again, the same buffer section 207-2C5. It requires that 20-foot buffer all the way across, so we have to remove that and allow the access. So that's why there's two separate variances. One is for the buffer and one is for access. And we had some initial elevations that were submitted for the site. Hold on, let me find them real quick. And just for anyone that's here, these are conceptual for the most part, as they don't meet the codes. I know there's some concern about the transitional nature of the property and how do we make it more residential. I believe there's some common ground here where we can add some brick, some more stone features to kind of make it an easier transition from the, I guess, the only last historical house we have to an office building that's appropriate in its location. So I believe that Councilman Warner wanted to, if approved, or add a condition and to bring make sure that the architectural plans are signed off for by the planning director prior to permitting, so we can work all the kinks out and everybody can take another look at it. I believe the applicant is okay with that too. And with that being said, we recommend approval with the conditions as stated, and I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Are there any questions for the council of Mr. Thompson?
There are some pretty good-looking trees out in front that are in that berm. I'm assuming those are going to go away.
The berm trees were actually a result of that, the front development at the time. They forgot to put up parapet on the back of the building so you could see the different mechanicals. And if you'll notice now, the trees that are growing out of the stream in the middle have now covered all that up. So that was really just a house to cover the back of the building, which is now being done by another set of trees and furthermore a building. So the berm has to go to make the stormwater work, but on that lower portion, as they've shown here, We'll dress it back up with a buffer that's similar to the ones that was approved up for Scenic Point on North 124 to further provide shielding. So long story, those will go, but the street trees will stay, the nice oaks. We'll give them a little more room to breathe there too, hopefully, and they can continue to grow and flourish there.
Could you show us on this rendering where those trees you're referring to that are now going to be the screen for the parapet?
Here.
No, the ones that have grown
they're
up.
right here.
Okay, all right.
So in here, these have actually grown up as pines. You'll have the building blocking it here, and the only thing that will be left would be whatever this covers.
Okay, and that's of the same design as we worked out?
It is, and we've conditioned it as such in the conditions to make sure it looks just like that. They actually produced this document after we recommended the condition, just illustrate better how it was going to be shielded from North Road as far as the parking lot goes.
And the existing sidewalk, the trees that are between the existing sidewalk and the curb, are those staying?
Yes.
Okay.
As much as possible. I think they may have to move one inlet over there, but I mean those have been there a long time, about 15 years, and they're finally getting some good size to them. So we're going to try to save as many of those as possible.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the future development for the traffic there on North?
You mean like what kind of traffic impact?
Yeah.
Office professional is mainly at your peak times, morning and evening, and then dies as you know, office hours close. From what I understand, not enough to really generate. I couldn't give you an exact number, but it will allow the property to use the light on 124 to go left and right as well. So getting in and out of North there for the entirety of the development, I don't think you're going to see a lot of the cars going there. Most will use the light depending on where they're heading, but it is nice to provide a throughway there to connect North to 124 now that everybody uses it just like they do 124.
Are there any other questions of council for Mr. Thompson? The next step, as I know we have some people here that want to talk about this one, it's more than just cleanup for the city. We will allow the applicant to come up and present the case. The applicant side will have 15 minutes, and the time will be kept by our city attorney. If you don't use all that time, then you can reserve some time at the end for address any comments. And then I will open the floor to public comment, and the public will have 15 minutes to speak either for or against the project. Again, you'll need to come up and state your name and address for the record, and it'll be 15 minutes for everyone who wants to come up. So if you have several people that want to come speak, just be cognizant of the fact that there may be other people that want to speak. So just, watch your time. All right, the applicant.
Good evening. My name is Tyler Lasser with Alliance Engineering and Planning. Tonight I am here on behalf of the applicant, PLG Partners. Thank you, Mr. Thompson, for setting that up. I feel like you already went over all my notes, but I would just like to reiterate and maybe clarify a few more things. Tonight we're requesting to rezone the subject site from BG, which is General Business District, to OP, which is Office Professional District, to construct a 2-story office building. Got that right here. As you can see, the site is located in the west side of North Road, and is directly behind the Snellville Village Shopping Center, which is on Scenic Highway. It includes a variety of restaurants, shops, including cake shop, sushi, wine shop, everything you need. The adjacent properties on North Road currently include office uses or office zonings. To the north, there's the Snellville Historical Society, and to the south is I believe it's a dentist office. Directly across North Road, there are a few single-family residences. However, going south, south of Eastwood Drive, it's all office developments going towards the town center, which is in walking distance. The site has already been cleared and already includes some of the parking and a driveway because of the shopping center, as he's already pointed out. All of this already exists, including some of these back spaces. But as proposed, the site will be accessed by a new driveway on North Road, which will connect to the driveway. And that also includes sidewalks. So there will be good pedestrian connectivity as a result of this development for both motorists and pedestrians. It'll also make it easier for them to get to Scenic Highway, and those that want to get to Town Center a little bit quicker can cut through on those sidewalks, go south down North Road. Additional parking will be added in the rear and to the side of the building. It'll be a total of 145 spaces, and that's including the existing spaces. And then where there is currently a detention pond, in this corner right here will be converted into parking, and there will be underground detention. No parking will be in the front of the building, and the building will be pushed up closer to North Road. This kind of just makes it safer for pedestrians. They won't have to cross a busy parking lot when they're coming from the office to go get lunch at Town Center. And it's also just more consistent with the intent of that Town Center with more of an urban feel. The site will be screened by a 20-foot landscape strip from the south corner to the south corner of the building, and that's per a condition. We showed this just to kind of present a general idea of what that would look like. We might need to add a few more trees and shrubs. And then the other half of the road frontage along North Road would include a 10-foot landscape strip. Jason already mentioned that the street trees would remain, which are large, so they'll provide a year-round screening from those on North Road to the front of the development, and especially the parking area. The site's within the southern portion of the North Road Transitional Corridor Character Area, which encourages small infill offices for its proximity to the town center, and ability to transition from those more intense commercial uses along Scenic Highway to the residential uses across North Road. So this development will be consistent with that, as it does provide that natural transition. The site's currently zoned BG. BG allows for a long list of more intense and active uses. Generally, business developments cause more traffic, require frequent deliveries, trucks, offer longer business hours, 7 days a week, etc. Also, BG allows for a much taller building. I believe BG allows an 80-foot building. What we're proposed, or I should say, office professional uses max out at 40 feet. OP is more limited with the uses, and with this proposed use, which is simply offices, it's generally going to be operating, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, just basic office uses, low intensity, which is ultimately more consistent with the future land use plan. The elevations, like Mr. Thompson presented, those are just very general, just kind of an idea of what we thought would look good there. However, we are absolutely comfortable with the condition that states that it has to go through director approval. We're happy to make everybody comfortable with how it looks. Other than that, I have not received any phone calls or emails from opposition since the Planning Commission hearing. I do want to point out that Stuart Barnes with Ackerman and Company, he's the Director of Property Management for that adjacent commercial strip. He actually showed up to the Planning Commission hearing. He did not speak out, but I've since been in contact with them, and he is definitely in support of this project, as he thinks it would be great to have that interparcel connectivity for his patrons. So other than that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, are there any questions of the council for Mr. Lasser?
Can you give us some idea of the types of offices you expect to have in this building? Will they be mostly professional, and you're expecting it to be pretty much 8 to 5 as far as the hours of operation?
That's correct. Just law firms, maybe a dentist office, things like that, very low intensity, just general Monday through Friday businesses for the most part. Nothing more intense than that.
How many total offices do you expect?
That I do not know yet. I don't think the builder and the property owner knows yet. But the entire building will be 20,000 square feet, which is relatively small. I believe the commercial strip behind it's only 16,000 square feet, so it's pretty comparable size.
Then as far as pedestrian access, on the entrance from North Road, is that a sidewalk that goes down beside the, on that drive?
Yeah, so there will be so there's an existing sidewalk right here, and we will be connecting to that all the way to North Road. And there will also be sidewalks that go directly from North Road to the front of the building.
Okay.
I didn't notice on your architectural rendering, but what kind of signage will you be having out on North Road?
I believe just a ground sign and just very small building signs. No matter what, we'll of course have to meet code and go through that process. So nothing beyond that.
Any other questions of council for Mr. Lesser? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You'll have 9 minutes and 31 seconds remaining for rebuttal.
Yes, sir.
Now you've heard from the planning director and the applicant, so I will open the floor now to public comment. As I stated earlier, we'll have 15 minutes maximum for public comment. So if you'd like to come up and say whether for or against, please step up and give your name and address for the record.
Tricia Rollins, 2088 Harbor Oaks Drive. And I guess y'all all know me because of commercial issues. I'm not against this development. I do want the residents protected that are across the street. I see that there's a berm. It's going to be there, but has anybody sat on North Road lately? To dump traffic on north at this time is going to be detrimental. I mean, you've got, from what I understand, the traffic's going to come in here and onto North Road. Everybody's going to take the cut through. Who's going to go down to Oak Road or cut across at Wisteria when you can cut across here? And I have concerns with the traffic, the lighting. I deal with lighting, not so much a terrible issue, but we want to make sure that we've got so many businesses around Snellville that when they're closed at night, they're totally dark. The lights, they don't maintain the lights on during the night. There should be some lighting left on at night. I don't know if that's a zoning issue that Jason needs to look into, but the lights, the traffic, and the dumpsters, please look at those issues. Look where the dumpsters are located. Are they located in an area that will protect the residents that are across the street? I think we're trying to solve that issue citywide. Seems like the main issue would be traffic. Is that a one-way? Is it a two-way street that's coming through there? Seriously, I'd take it to cut over to police department. But you're sitting in North Road traffic for 30 minutes, 40 minutes now. So we're going to add some more traffic in there. It's an issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rollins.
My name is Tom Flynn, and I live at 2358 Eastwood Drive, just down the street. And for the record, the Planning Commission voted denial on this. And I'm glad they're going to do something about a different building. Because when I look at this building, here's the Mason Todd House. Portions were built in 1888. Here's the Snell House, 1929. I don't know, they're either almost the oldest or maybe the oldest houses in Snellville, okay? All the rest of the houses, this is chiropractor, OP. It's a Mason Todd. This is a residence right across the street. This is the dental, just south of this. Snell House. This is the Montessori school, 2 houses up. This is OP, it's a residence right now. And this is a lawyer just down North Road. Okay, so I'm concerned about this applicant that they couldn't picture that area and come up with a different plan to submit, okay? Now, when I read the comprehensive plan and all of that, and I read the UDO, NR, North Road District zoning strikes me as much more appropriate with all of this around it. And particularly to, you know, for the Snell house and the Mason Todd house. The staff seems to think, they read the comprehensive plan and think that this piece of property, it says it should be treated differently than the rest of the North Road transitional corridor. And I don't see that. When I read the technical addendum to the comprehensive plan, the citizens want what's in the NR zoning. Now, they want OP zoning, which allows a bigger building. This one is 200 feet long, 250. I mean, the scale of it is quite big compared to, let's say, what's next door. It also allows a glass facade. Now, this is a transition from North Road to the town center. It doesn't fit in with the houses around it. And when I read the UDO, this look building wouldn't be allowed in the town center. So how is it a transition? It just sticks out. Seems out of touch. Think about driving down North Road, or sitting on North Road, because we've just talked about that. And that's what you're going to see. Okay, this building, to here, I think their plan shows 30, probably 40 to here. So it's just, I just think it's the wrong project in the wrong place. We need smaller buildings. When I pay attention to what happens with properties on North Road, I spoke at the 2004 and 2009 rezonings. There were conditions put on the rezoning at that time. Now, I've had an interesting time reading the UDO, and 103-9.3 requires, if the applicant wants to amend those conditions, that they submit a notarized statement about that and attach it to the application. I didn't see that. So from my viewpoint, it doesn't meet the UDO, the application. On their site plan, I don't see interparcel connectivity to the Snell house. And because, and I want that a condition because, and the Snell house is over here. Maybe this is a little hard to see. Snell house is here. Their building's going to be like this. And there's the Mason Todd house. Because if you put interparcel connectivity to the Snell house, you're going to pave the front yard. And I don't think that's something that we want on there. The berm and the trees. We've gotten those, actually they were part of the original 2004, not because they didn't have a parapet wall, although if you want to see the back of that building without a parapet wall, and yet I don't know that those trees that are on the water, I'll call it feature, the stream, are required. So can they be cut down? Here's looking over a 5-foot berm. Okay? The other thing is down the end towards Wisteria, now you can look through and see big lots. And Eastwood Drive has an 8-foot drop right there at North Road. So I would want a very tall, that's why I wanted a berm and trees. Traffic. Okay, I'm in agreement. We've asked for and received multiple times the berm. We asked for and received through rezonings no exit onto North Road for the cut-through. I walk every morning in that area. I walk on Dogwood, and it amazes me how many cars go from North to 124 on Dogwood. Well, they're going to find this spot too, okay? Another thing, this is looking up North Road, and I think their driveway is going to be about in here. You see the road kind of curves to the left. Well, a problem we have in other places on North Road is there's 145 parking spaces. That's not a small amount of cars to add to, you know, what's on North Road, because North Road backs up beyond this many, many days. So I'm sure you've all done it. You're driving along in traffic, the other lane stopped. Some nice person lets them out, but you can't see them. So then you have accidents. So those are the things. And just a note, if this doesn't work out for them, maybe they can donate it as a park, because this is a piece of paper they submitted with their application, and it says they paid $10 for the land. So, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
There are 4 minutes and 36 seconds left.
I'll be quick. Madam Mayor, Council, thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Carl Krutzke. I live on 2262 Timber Lane here in Snellville, and I've been there since 1978. Now, when I moved here from Clarkston, of course, I was much younger, and friends used to say to us, Carl, why do you want to move out to Snellville? There's nothing there. And we said, coming from northern New Jersey in 1977, we said, well, that's precisely why we want to go there. Move there, because there's nothing there. There were farms on 124 and Highway 78. We had 2 of everything. 2 red lights, 2 supermarkets. That's what it seemed like to me. In any case, I've been in my house since 1978, and the gentleman before me did an excellent job, critiquing, all the concerns that my wife and I have. So I won't belabor that issue. I just want to say, with all due respect to these gentlemen and the owners of the property and all the development, there's absolutely no way in heck that I want to see a building like that on North Road. Because right now, you can't drive on on North Road at any. I'm retired, and I go on North Road all hours of the day, and it's bumper-to-bumper traffic. I can't get out of Pine Road, Timber Lane to Pine Road to North Road. I sometimes sit there for 5 minutes, seems like an hour, because of the traffic, because everybody uses North Road as a cut-through, to Loganville. So somebody used the term low density parking and all that. I quite frankly don't understand what we're going to do with the new town center with all the traffic going down North Road right now. When we finish building that, you'll never be able to get onto North Road. So my only beef is, I'm kind of like with this gentleman. That should be a little park. Several years ago, they wanted to build a storage unit project there, and that's why the berm was added. I like the berm. The berm should stay. They should turn this into a little park setting. We certainly don't need a 2-story office building that looks like this one does on North Road. It just doesn't fit with I think what North Road should look like. But mainly because of the traffic. The traffic is just horrendous right now, and this is only going to make it worse. You're probably going to have mostly doctors' offices in there, and a lot of patients coming in and out all the time. So I'm opposed to it. And that's what I'd like to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kretzky.
1 minute, 47 seconds.
I got you, brother. My name is Barry Wiggs. I live at 2210 Stockton Walk Lane, and I am opposed to this. And here's the reasons. One, if you have a stoplight access on 124, you don't need a rear entrance and exit if it's an 8 to 5 building. Number two, if it is professionals, 8 to 5, if it's doctors, lawyers, that type of business, the clients know where they're moving to. So 10,000, let's say you have just 10 tenants in there, how big are those signs going to be to get 10 of them on a sign somewhere? Third thing, the underground retention pond, who's going to be responsible for maintenance of that 10, 15, 20 years down the road? Is it the citizens, or the developer is going to have to maintain that? The other thing is that the gentleman pointed out, the trees in the berm from the back of the other building, no matter where you put dumpsters in there, it's going to reverberate right off the back of that building and right back across the street. If you want to know why, because I hear it. Not here, but at my place. So the dumpsters need to be somewhere where they cannot be heard across north. It looks like it's low-growing shrubs there on the berm. If that's the case, you have zero sound barrier on the North Road.
2 seconds. That's the end of the time.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggs. So that's the 15 minutes for opposition and other public comment. So I will close the public hearing portion, and we will allow the applicant to come back up for rebuttal.
You have 9 minutes and 31 seconds.
Thank you. All right, just to address the use, you know, it is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan update, you know, I think they really chose this parcel because it's one of the few large parcels that's currently vacant along North Road and so close to the town center. Again, we are requesting OP. It's currently zoned BG. And BG, it permits much more intense uses and much larger structures, which would be much more visible along North Road and wouldn't require a rezoning, so there wouldn't be additional conditions like we are, you know, agreeing with tonight. You know, those uses can include a convenience store, shooting range, laundromat, list goes on, all of which would inevitably generate more traffic than a typical office development. Regarding the dumpster location, again, this is just something that would be approved and reviewed during the land disturbance permit process. Right now we're showing it in the back, which would be screened along with the rest of the parking. The screening up front would be year-round screening. We're showing all, I believe they have to be 8 feet tall at the time of planning, very dense, like a buffer, the entire length of the property, or that entire length of the property. Someone mentioned this as, you know, the trees there. It's a buffer. We're not going to touch those. There's no intention of touching those. And they're massive trees, which provide us, you know, screening from that blank beige wall of the back of that commercial strip. So what we're proposing is really, you know, the landscaping, and then there's the building, and then additional landscaping, all screening the back of that building and scenic highway. Across scenic highway, as you know, there's just a large commercial development with a Belk and 100 other commercial uses. Lights, someone had mentioned, that's another thing that would be reviewed during the land disturbance permit process. I'm imagining they will require downward-facing lights. Regarding denial from the Planning Commission, from what I understand is that it was a no decision because they didn't have a full, they they didn't have every member of the planning commission there that night, so I believe there was a couple approvals, a denial, and someone abstained from the vote as well. So I think that addresses most of the questions. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do you intend to fence the dumpster area?
Yes, I believe it requires a masonry backing and wooden opaque enclosure.
If the mayor and council were to move forward with an approval on this zoning, would you and your client be amenable to a condition that would limit no electronic signs on the property?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And also another condition that would protect the existing stream trees there along the stream/drainage area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I have one more question for Mr. Thompson. Yes, because the interparcel access was a question I had come up with and I forgot to ask you about earlier, at least on the
that's a
south side.
Discretionary decision that can be based on topography, trees, and on the other side, next to the Historical Society house, it's actually a big oak right there. And going through there, and then the drop off, I believe there's a stormwater inlet too. You can see it on that pipe right there. We would deem that unnecessary, really on both sides, unless the adjacent properties were redeveloped and regraded, because what used to be the foot doctor now is a dentist. There's like a little water outlet there that comes out, a pipe. So both of those sides on north, we wouldn't require interparcel access just because of those existing conditions at this time, maybe in the future. And then the Planning Commission did actually go up as a denial only because in their board practices, they allow for an abstention to becomes a negative vote, which is kind of different from Robert's rules. So it did go up. The chairwoman wasn't aware when she made the vote regardless, but that is how it went up. The signage, you talked about the underground detention as a private property issue, and will be. They have to sign an agreement with the city and record it at the county to take care of it. And there is, as you guys are all aware, and maybe not so much the public, is there's some intersection improvements. Everybody knows North Road is busy. It's not a secret anymore. There are some intersection improvements that the county and the city are collaborating on there at the end of North Road, not the end, but where it intersects with Wisteria, to allow for a right-hand turn lane going south, and some other lanes to kind of open up that area in the future as much as it can. I think that's all I have is clarifications. And there's no destruction allowed in that stream buffer regardless. It's protected at this point, but a condition helps too, because that'll keep it from any kind of maintenance activities happening there where the trees just accidentally disappear. And it's good for the property owner to know that as well.
Mr. Thompson and Chuck, there was an issue raised about whether the applicant met the application requirements. Do we have any issues?
I haven't. Honestly, I had never read that. Maybe that was a holdover from up, but the application is submitted with a letter of intent that requests removal of those conditions. Also, by an act of a resolution, when we adopt, or an ordinance, when we adopt a new ordinance, at that point in time, you can just replace them. You don't have to have a special action. I think that would be in the case for like a change of conditions, and I'm not certain, but certainly not the replacement of the conditions with the rezoning. I'm not certain, so I'll defer to Chuck on that, but there is a notarized signature page inside of that application. And we've operated like that for 20 years, so.
Assuming I haven't seen the application, but assuming there's a notarized signature in there, I don't see a problem with
Any other questions of council for Mr. Thompson for clarifications? Thank you, Jason. And with that, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, for everyone's information, I have pulled up the applicant's application. It is notarized and appears to be complete. With that, I will, bear with me, this one may take a bit, because I have to jump back and forth between the document that is on our website and my notes. And nope, I got it. Make a motion that we approve RZ 22-02, rezoning from BG to request for variance of two-story, 20,000 square foot office building and associated parking on 3.3 plus acres, site at 2165 North Road, with the conditions and approval of variances as recommended by staff, with the following additions. Number 7, architectural design to be approved by Director of Planning and Development. Number 8, there will be no allowed electronic signage on the site. And number 9, the trees along the rear of the property will be protected and remain. That being said, that is my motion, and I ask for a second.
Can you clarify your number 9, rear of the property shall be, or do you mean the trees or the tell me what you mean.
The trees that are along the stream buffer, if you're looking at the drawing that we have in front of us, the rear of the property would be back along the old shopping center. And that's actually a stream that exists and has trees along the side. So that would be the rear of this property, I hope, and that those trees would be protected.
Mr. Warner, can you just confirm the zoning action number that you?
Oh, did I do the wrong one? RZ 22-01.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion for approval with some additional conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any additional comments by council?
If I may, Madam Mayor, I sat on the Planning Commission when the original development came before us, and that was a different time. And we had been talking about working on town center. We talked about a North Road overlay, which has taken many iterations over the years, but the vision for mayor and council has, over the last 10 years, been very specific that we are developing a town center, and from that, as a ring grows out, development will come along. And the office professional development here fits into that vision. And the location of the dumpsters, I checked, the existing property has a dumpster that the property along 124 that's in a corral and faces the 124 corridor, and absolutely, I'm sure that dumpster could be heard much more than the dumpsters in the location that these are in. They are perpendicular to the existing residences on either side of the of this development, and therefore it should minimize the amount of noise that comes through there. Our zoning ordinance requires that our garbage pickup is at during specific times, and we've been working very, very hard to make sure that our haulers live up to that. We also have looked at, in this development, to make sure we have continuity along that corridor as it will redevelop, that the landscaping that we're putting in on this design is going to be the same as it is down on the other end of the street, down where North Road runs into 124. So as those properties redevelop, hopefully we'll be able to maintain a cohesive development standard as we go along. I've also double checked using Google Maps, and also I now live on Pinehurst, so I drive down North Road, drove down it to get here. The driveway that exits this development actually goes directly into a vacant lot that is currently wooded that belongs to somebody who I didn't write their name down, but it's been that way for as long as I've been in the city of Snellville. So this should minimize the amount of traffic impact from headlights and such things into the adjacent properties. No development is 100% perfect, but I believe this is a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Anyone else? Then I will ask for a vote. We have a motion to approve and a second. So all in favor, please raise your hand. That is 5 in favor. Any opposed? 1 opposed. The motion carries. Our last item of business under the public hearing is item E, second reading SUP 22-03, consideration and recommendation on application by, I'm going to mess this first name up, I know we've met, but I can't remember how you pronounce your name, Gangat Zambi, member, Baylock 19 LLC is the applicant, and Vikram Chardi on the property owner requesting a special use permit to develop and operate a 4-story, 42,000 square foot, 82-room Avid brand ING hotel on a 2.15 plus or minus acre tract, zoned BG General Business District, and located at 2785 West Main Street, Snellville, tax parcel 5007-285. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. What you have before you is, again, is a special use permit for a hotel, a 4-story, 42,000 square foot, 82-room hotel. This is special use permit application 22-03. And it's important to understand that the application, although the ownership of the parcel, I believe there's a couple parcels here now, are this kind of L-shaped or odd Y-shaped. The application for the permit is here in the middle on that 2-acre property. That's tax parcel 5007-285, and it's currently zoned BG as the rest of the property. The zoning history on that is the old police station at one time, sold, and zoned to BG for the entirety of that big rectangle, including the development of these office condominiums, which were slated to be on the entire tract. Then 2007, the recession hit, building ceased, and it looks like the applicant is planning to erect the hotel here, an out parcel restaurant, and then continue the town or the office condominiums in the rear. It's important, there's I believe this is a sewer easement to the rear, Nob Hill neighborhood, and then there's a 60-foot, I believe, undisturbed buffer there on the rear of the property. But we're here to discuss the hotel. And while it does, in fact, meet some of the land use plan objectives for infill development, it's important to understand that it's the location is not ideal in the middle of the parcel. And just so everybody can get a good area location there. What's next to it to the north is Fountain Square, the old McGee Center, Fountain Square Business Center. And to the east, you have the O'Reilly's on the corner there, and the rest of those medical uses. And I think we already touched about Nob Hill being to the rear back there. But it does meet some of the concepts for infill development. They have provided that they will meet the requirements, the regulatory requirements for hotels, that they're non-extended stay. Hotel, there's a litany of conditions that are regulations that Mayor and Council adopted about 2 years ago to further regulate, ensure that quality developments for hotels are met, and they're also safe, and efficient, and long-lasting. So with all that in mind, our biggest issues that we've recommended for denial are just mainly the location is poor. The ingress and the egress to the site is provided through what looks to be an out parcel where the bulk of the traffic will go through a parking lot, then to an access, full service access there on Georgia DOT, as the GDOT won't allow another access there, as this was all developed as one with one singular access. B, the long-term implications for quality of the development. What happens in 10 years after the first agreement is signed? Can it maintain its quality? And then the need for a third hotel here in Snellville, or fourth actually, if you count in town over by the hospital, and the proximity to the neighborhood with an intensive use like that. So for those reasons, we recommended denial of the special use permit, and we'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Are there any questions of council for Mr. Thompson? Nope. Thank you. And as with the previous public hearing, we will institute the same rules. We'll have 15 minutes for the applicant to come and present their case. Anytime they don't use, they can reserve to rebut any public comment. Then we'll open the floor to public comment for comments either for or against the project. You'll have 15 minutes for public comment. We'll close public comment after that 15 minutes, and then the council will will allow the applicant to have their rebuttal time, and then the council will take a motion and a vote. So the applicant, I'm sorry, Kellen, you're gonna take over?
Yes, good evening. I'm Kellen Carr with Excelsis Public Strategies on behalf of Belark 19 tonight. Thank you, Mayor Bender. Thanks, members of the council. I appreciate it. I'm going to keep my comments short and sweet tonight. But we are asking for your favorable consideration of an Avid Hotel at 2787 Main Street West. I'd like to just draw your attention directly to the actual parcel. So where this hotel is going to sit, it's going to be on 2 acres. Those 2 acres are going to be entirely fenced in, so there's going to be a good physical barrier there. We then are going to add on to that office space. Currently, the office space in the Town Center Office Park is at max capacity. And actually, when we sat down with their HOA and G&W Associates, who is the HOA's management company, you know, they said they could really use more office space. I mean, you have a photography business in there, you've got a law firms, you have the community improvement district, and they're at max capacity. So another part of the entire vision for this parcel is to add 11 buildings and 34 tenants to add that additional office space. It is going to have the same floor plan and schematics as what is currently there, so it's going to be consistent with what is already on the property. I'd like to draw your attention to 2 things that Jason mentioned. He mentioned, you know, proximity and need, and so that's what I want to focus on tonight. So as far as proximity, you have the hotel that sits on 2 acres, and then you have behind the hotel office space, and that's 4.17 acres And then you have county easement before you even get to the residential community of Nob Hill. We did meet with the residents of Nob Hill, and we're very interested in, being good partners with them, discussing our vision for this. We feel like we alleviated some of their concerns. One of their primary concern was there going to be an entrance to the hotel through Crescent Drive? That is not the case. The owner also owns this tract 1 and the front parcel, and so there's going to be an entrance and exit directly to the hotel from that tract 1. Additionally, there's a separate entrance already that goes to the office park. So we're not going to be disrupting the office park. But I'll tell you, we already have letters of support from the office park. GNW Associates did us a letter. The Condo Association gave us a letter. O'Reilly Auto Parts also gave us a letter. That's Grace Ridge LLC. They were very excited about having additional travelers in the area. They think that it could stimulate their business and the local economy as well. We know that for every $100 that's spent on lodging, traditionally there's another $221 that's spent in the economy. There's a need for this. Also, we've heard as well, with COVID and you've had hotels that they've taken a hit. Well, we pulled the Smith Travel report. That's the STAR report. That's the Smith Travel Research. That's data analytics, and is a nationally recognized company. And we know that the STAR report said that occupancy rates in the area, even during COVID, were at 71%. We can tell you that for the Hampton, that was even a little higher at 80%. So you have one event in the area and you're at max capacity. With the Avid Hotel, which is an IHG hotel, that's a leading hotel company. It's a global company. We feel like this is going to be a mix of corporate and travel guests. We're looking at mid-level managers, traveling nurses, things that are going to help the local hospital. But I'd like to reserve some of my time to answer any questions and also have some time on the end. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or we'll come back up if needed.
Thank you, Ms. Carr. Are there any questions? Hang on just a second. Let me make sure. Are there any questions of council for Mrs. Carr before we open public comment?
I have one. I'm not familiar with, I'm familiar with IHG. I'm not familiar with Avid. Where does that fit in there? Is that their top tier? Is that middle? Is that the bottom of their product offering? I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah, that's a good question. So all IHG hotels are good hotels. It's a global company. They're across the U.S. and it's an international brand. When we did the STAR report and talked with IHG, and they also picked our owners. You can't just go in and say, I want to work with IHG. They also pick you as well. I can tell you that the property owners have lived in Gwinnett for 15 years. They own 2 other successful hotels. They own a True by Hilton.
Okay, that's wonderful. Where does it fit in their branding?
So I would say that the Avid Hotel is their newest brand. It's similar to the Holiday Inn Express, but it's newer than the Holiday Inn. They try to recruit as well that millennial mid-level manager. If you look at the schematics for Avid, it's eye-catching. They use very good decor. I think one of the things that